And of course, energy prices, and nat gas comes to mind first and foremost, because that's how most of North America, at least, powers its air conditioning and heat in the winter. Now, we know that when it gets hotter, there's a strain on natural gas resources, but I guess you could make the argument that because we had a warm winter, there's a lot of inventory built up.
Absolutely. We've seen really over the last 4 or 5 winters, record warm temperatures, what I believe certainly is climate change, not solar cycles, maybe partly El Nino. A person can sell natural gas almost every year the last 5 years in November and make 30 to 40% of their money. Now we have record hot temperatures, but because of large inventories, it's going to take consistent heat and several major hurricanes in the Gulf that may happen in September and October to really get us to new highs in natural gas. We have a glut of supplies right now.
Okay, so there's a bit of a cushion to work off of there for now when it comes to nat gas. Let's talk a little bit about El Nino. You just mentioned it. These specific weather patterns also have a big impact. What do we know in terms of El Nino and La Nina?
Well, El Nino, which is a warm ocean current off the coast of Peru along the equator, really hurt the tropical commodities the most. Cocoa prices soared 150%, with a 30% reduction in some areas of Ivory Coast and Ghana, the biggest producer of chocolate in the world. Sugar prices had a bull market last year, droughts in Southeast Asia, and now coffee's being affected. Along the equator, that's where climate change really is the most severe. We're going into a La Nina situation over the next few months. If it holds off till September, October, that will mean that Midwest grain crops benefit from warmer temperatures and also rains. If La Nina happens more quickly, cooler ocean temperatures off the coast of Peru to Australia, then we can have a bull market in corn and soybeans. But right now, it's really the tropical commodities along the equator that have been affected most by both El Nino and also La Nina conditions coming up.
It's interesting, too, that, Jim, on this day, as we talk about, of course, this what could potentially be a record heat wave, at least in certain parts of the U.S., and not to mention over there in Europe and in India as well, that we also got our first named tropical storm, Lisa, here in North America so far, Alberto strengthening off the coast of Mexico. I know we're still kind of early in the hurricane season, but do you anticipate that this season could continue that trend of more storms and storms coming earlier in the season than in the past?
Well, actually, this is, I think, the latest in many years that a tropical storm actually formed. NOAA, many other hurricane forecasting services out there are predicting a near record number of hurricanes over the next few months, particularly September and October is the key. We've seen more Category 5 hurricanes explode from what I believe is definitely a warming planet, climate change, in the last 4 years within 24 to 48 hours. There was Hurricane Harvey that affected much of the crude oil facilities and refineries in Houston. I think it was 2017. We've had several major hurricanes in Florida and the Gulf the last few years. So it's going to be a wild crude oil and natural gas market, most likely in the peak of the season in September and October, not only because La Nina is going to be forming, which tends to reduce shear and increase hurricane activity, but also because ocean temperatures near Florida, 100 degrees. It's unbelievable right now what's going on.
I am curious as to what the sort of the potential effect on financial markets is going to be. And I mean that outside of the space of commodities, that's always easy to kind of determine. But I feel like when we're talking about these things, it seems like they're having much broader effects, whether it's on, I don't know, insurance companies or other parts of other sectors of the market here. Where are you seeing the potential financial impact, whether to the upside or to the downside?
Yeah, I mean, that's a complex question. Certainly with our hurricanes, a lot of energy stocks tend to rise, at least temporarily. When you have hot summers like I expect this year or this summer over most of the country, beer company stocks go up. There's more demand for that. Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, things like that. As far as the global economy itself, yeah, I mean, obviously, we need to really find new solutions to fight climate change, in my opinion. That could actually be a spur in the green economy, which we're actually seeing right now in a lot of areas. But we have to just take this one step at a time as far as how the hurricanes and heat waves affect the equity market. Certainly, the stronger dollar and many other factors right now are influencing many stocks and also commodity prices.
Jim, you advise hedge funds, farmers, and commodity traders as to the long-term and short-term impact of weather impacts in the futures markets. What's the number one question you're getting from the smart money, from hedge funds?
Well, everyone wants to know about the grain market because we're a big supplier of grains. We had major droughts and floods in South America that reduced corn and soybean crops about 10 to 15% a few months ago. Why haven't grain prices rallied? Because of the stronger dollar and the worries about the Chinese economy, a big importer. So everyone really wants to know, are we going to have a drought this summer? What about cocoa and coffee, which have been in long-standing bull markets because of warming along the equator? So I guess right now, the stronger dollar, weakened demand for many commodities, and also El Nino that brought havoc around the world that's weakened and is pretty much over with right now, could mean that most commodities in the next few months could be entering more longer-term bear markets. And again, we have to see how climate change and the formation of La Nina could maybe reverse that trend, depending in the next few months, the timing of all these different phenomena happening around the world.